Morning, everybody, and welcome to this morning's CPD Live with the Tutors Association. We're really pleased to be joined by Georgie McIntyre, who's also a board member, for a practical session on building a credible, authentic presence on LinkedIn without the overwhelm. So thank you for being here, Georgie. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sam. And it's always a privilege to do some sessions here for the Tutoring Association. So what I've tried to put together today is probably LinkedIn 1.0. LinkedIn can feel quite noisy and quite overwhelming. So what I've tried to do is strip things back and start from sort of key areas that we can focus on. So today's LinkedIn is about, the session is going to be about a professional space. It's not going to be about marketing. It's not going to be sort of performative, and there's not going to be any kind of pressure for you, but there will be some activities that you can do during the session. So I would say grab a pen and paper, because I'm hoping by the end of this, you'll have something tangible that you can take away and use with your LinkedIn profiles. So looking forward to using that. The session's going to be about 45 to 50 minutes. I have got quite a lot of content in here, so I will whiz through a few things. But can I just ask if the questions and answers can be shared at the end? Sam will pop them on the chat. Sam will be answering those, the ones that she can. And then the rest of them, I'll answer them at whatever comes up at the end for you as well. So there will be an opportunity to answer questions. As Sam probably mentioned, it's going to be recorded, this session. So anyone that's watching this as a recording, welcome. And feel free to do the activities, perhaps pause it when you're watching it online as well. So we'll just move on. So at the end of this session, what I'm hoping for is that you will have an overview of LinkedIn and actually the difference between a personal profile and a business profile, because they're actually slightly different, and there is an opportunity on LinkedIn to actually do that and have both types of profiles available for you. So I'm going to show you how they can work in tandem to really help you grow your profile and your presence. And this also will be about building your professional credibility. We're going to look quickly at some profile essentials to build trust and credibility. And we'll start to look at ways that you can communicate your thought leadership and your expertise clearly and ethically throughout there. You will see on some of the screens that I've put good practice screenshots. I've not called them best practice because I can't claim to be the best at everything, but they're good practice indicators, and they'll normally appear in sort of a pale yellow at the bottom. So you might want to screenshot those with your phone as well, just to capture some ideas and concepts. Okay, so I think LinkedIn can feel quite daunting, and it's also quite intimidating if you've not used it before. But more and more, it's becoming quite a social space to appear in. Historically, it used to be just used for job searches and having a CV online, and wasn't really used as a place where you sort of showed up and shared your where your professional and your personal life merged. But more and more we're seeing that that authentic individual contributions are really helping to build people's presence. And as we know, in real life, work and personal life do merge, and there are things that we learn along the way when we're having personal experiences, and likewise when we're having professional experiences as well. So what the key thing is thinking about your LinkedIn as a professional space. It's a place for you to show up and be visible, particularly now when we're working from home and we're not necessarily in a working environment as we're moving forward. It's also a place where you can record how you're thinking and what your reflections are about work, and you can be open and you can share those. And it's a way, more importantly, where you can contribute and you can connect in a thoughtful and professional manner as well. So you can actually contribute to other people's thoughts and ideas. But before we get started and dig into more about the professional space side, we're going to start with first of our polls. So Sam, can you just share up the poll for us? So I want everyone to think about, how does LinkedIn currently feel for you? And you'll see these 4 answers come up as a poll on the screen now. So just take a couple of moments to have a think about how you're using it at the moment. And good to see we've got some answers coming up. Okay, Sam, what's the outcome? What we're feeling at the moment, the majority of people are feeling?
So we've got quite a lot in the comments. Sorry, so let me just. C and B are the most. So Lucy, you've just said, how do you poll? I can see the admin side of it, but there should have been a pop-up that says that there is a poll, I hope. And or helpfully it might have dropped in the comments, but I doubt it. No, okay. B and C from the comments, then I read more than I post had 3 votes on the poll. I usually had 2 votes. So I think a bit between I read more than I post and I rarely use it.
Okay, all right, that's good to know. So we can hopefully get an understanding of where people are feeling at the moment. So what I'm hearing here is that most people are reading more than they post and they're actually not using it at all. So if you can take anything away from this session, I hope that you'll start to feel a little bit more confident about how you can actually use LinkedIn moving forward. Okay, so as you'll see, this is my first good practice at the bottom. But your business page acts as your credibility anchor. So what you're able to do on LinkedIn, and I would highly recommend that you do this, is actually set up, if you're a tutoring organisation or working as an individual tutor, an individual tutor page with your brand and your image on there. And your business page is your credibility space. Imagine this as your shop front. So somewhere where people can go and visit, and they can find out about your organisation and what you do and what you offer. So on your business LinkedIn page profile, and we will go into this in more detail in a moment around profile essentials, but really you should be looking for making sure your business page clearly states who it's for, what the type of support it is that you offer, any kind of references to your professional standards and where your values align. So what you're hoping to achieve and what impact you're trying to make, and how people can access your services. So it will make sure that it's in effect your online shop front. Very much if you're fortunate enough to have a website position, this can also refer onto your website as well. But it's another presence, another business place for you to be. And pretty much it should be more or less an overview of your business as a whole. So if anyone came on there and looked at it, they can answer these 4 questions here around the area. And it also provides you visibility when you're searching. So if someone wants to search, for example, shoe shops in London, it will very clearly come up in that search engine that you will actually be able to be part of those search engines. So very much it's your presence and your availability that will show up here. But what you can do, once you have built out a business page, you can then link your personal experience and your personal profile in your experience section. So that will enable you to have 2 presences on LinkedIn, which will enable you to show up more credibly. So make sure you link your business page in your experience section of your personal profile. And this helps people move naturally from trust in your organisation, confidence in your organisation, understanding what you do, into you as a person and an individual. Your business page doesn't need to perform on a daily basis. It just needs to confirm who you are. So if someone checks it, they understand it, and it helps to build trust. So it's your shop front, doesn't need you to perform daily, and is part of building the relationship. Moving on then to your personal profile. And this is where I find that this is the powerful piece. So your trust is personal. People will understand you and buy people. For tutors especially, trust isn't abstract, it's a personal feeling. So people need to feel confident. And as we know, education is about relationship based. It's about trust based. They need to be able to believe and trust in you as a professional. So this is an opportunity for you to flag your values, any kind of judgments, demonstrate your integrity, show that it matters as much as your qualifications. And parents, schools and partners don't just buy services, they actually trust and they're buying into you. So this is by leaning into using your personal profile alongside your business profile. This enables you to build your experience and your integrity and build your confidence as well. So how they work together. If you imagine that your personal profile is your voice, so you should probably show up here on a regular basis, talk about things that are coming up for you, both professionally and possibly personally, if they're relevant. And this is where you can talk and connect and communicate with other individuals that are out there. And then your business profile page will be your home page. So this actually is a mark in the sand. It shows that you're a credible organisation. It demonstrates your trust and your quality as well. So your personal profile isn't less professional. It's just showing that you're actually more trusted. And people usually ask two questions when they're looking to work with any individuals is, can I trust this person? And is this a credible organisation? So if you always remember that your personal profile is your voice, where you show up on a regular basis and connect and communicate, and your business page is your shop front, where you're putting out your offers and your services as well. So very clearly they can work in tandem together. So what does this mean for tutors and tutoring organisations? So it doesn't mean that you have to choose one or the other. The best way to actually operate is actually making sure that you use your personal profile to share insights, learning and values, and use your business page to clearly show services, focus and professionalism. So let both of these reinforce each other. So whenever you post on your personal profile, make sure you're tagging in your business profile so that it will show up on that area as well. And likewise, when you're talking about your offers or services on your business profile, make sure you tag yourself in professionally as well. So they work in tandem, they reinforce each other. And this is especially effective if you reference your organisation naturally in your personal profile and keep your messaging going aligned across both. Please remember that trust, as we talked about before, is built through consistency and building credibility, not about volume. And we'll move on to that at the moment. So people are subconsciously asking, can I trust you? Do I understand how you work? Do your values align with mine? So a clear personal profile reduces the need to explain yourself later. So that's what we're aiming for when we look at both of our profiles in detail. So we're now going to move on to profile essentials today and what this can start with. And the initial area that I want to talk about is your headline. So how many of you have subconsciously looked at your headline in detail? So this is something that we're going to have an activity at doing and building out in a moment. So your headline is visible And if you imagine every time you communicate with anybody, your headline will appear. It's your face, your personal presence around LinkedIn. So a clear profile reduces the need to explain yourself later. As I just said before about the trust piece, do you understand and how you work, and do your values align with me? And on your headline, it should talk about on your profile, and it should also show up in the search results. So your headline, when you are communicating with other people, will show up in search results and any comments and posts that you make, and in connection requests. So in short, it shows up everywhere, which is why it matters so much getting it right, because it demonstrates your credibility and your clarity when you're communicating and connecting with everybody. So I'm now going to go on and show you an example of my headline and my banner and how I use it. And then we're also going to look at the tutoring associations and how they're using theirs as well from a business perspective. So LinkedIn used the word headline very specifically. And it's actually, as you can see here on the arrow, the line of text directly under your name. It's not actually the banner that you use within LinkedIn. It's actually the description that appears under your name, so directly under your name. This matters because this is the text that LinkedIn repeatedly shows to others, often without the rest of your profile. And we're not thinking about marketing here. What we need to be thinking about when you've got a strong headline is your professional clarity. So it's really important that a clear headline helps others quickly understand your role and your context. So make sure that they clearly understand what you do and how and who you work with. One important thing to mention here, as I've indicated, is the banner as well. So there is an opportunity, and you will see this coming up more and more, is an opportunity to build out your banner, to brand it and have a specific messaging on there as well. One important note is that LinkedIn do not use the banner and any content in there as part of their search algorithms. So although it's a strong values message and reinforces everything that you do, it wouldn't come up or would be able to be used as something that LinkedIn was searched for. You will notice on my banner that I've actually got ring the bell. You can't actually see the bell because I'm sharing my own personal profile here, but I will show you where the bell sits when we then look at the Tutoring Association, and I'll explain what ringing the bell means in a moment for you. But here's a good practice note here, is that under your headline, so once you've made sure that you've written a really strong headline that really reinforces what you do and where you are, there's an opportunity to actually build in a simple call to action, a CTA. So for example, mine here says subscribe for my newsletter, or it might be book a call or visit your website. So there is an opportunity to kind of give the viewer or the person that first visits you or connects with you an instruction, a gentle nudge for them to kind of interact with you further. Okay, so moving on now to the Tutoring Association, and I'm also going to talk about the professional about section now for you on your profile. But what you can first see here, so I've highlighted the good practice. So the Tutoring Association, excuse me, have got a bell sign here. So whenever somebody starts to connect with you, the first thing they'll do is come to your profile page. And if you have never connected with them before, you'll be able to see the bell symbol in the top right-hand corner. If you click on that, or as my banner instructs or suggests to people to do, it means that you will automatically feed any kind of posts that the Tutoring Association post will automatically appear in that individual's feed. So it almost prioritizes the posts that the organisation appear. So for me to encourage people personally and also professionally to ring the bell on my through my banner, this actually encourages the feeds naturally to appear in their LinkedIn profile and their content. So this will naturally support visibility and also your professional presence. But it's not about promotion. So it gently just nudges to make sure you're at the front when there's opportunities to do that. So looking at your about section. So your about section is where people go when they want to understand how you work, not what you do or what you sell, but how you work. It should reassure someone about your values and your judgment and your professionalism, especially when you're working in the educational field, as we know. So this is really, really important. And it should be written, and we're seeing more and more where about sections have been created by AI. And we do know that there's a handy function for LinkedIn to help you do that. But I would heavily encourage you to think very carefully about using AI to write your about section. It needs to be written for humans. It needs to be something that's clear and carefully written so that it's understood. It's written for humans, not algorithms. But make sure that your about section is not a sales page. It's not a full CV of what you do. It's a list of your services, but it can be done in brief. So what the Tutoring Association do beautifully here is really share how they work professionally and ethically with organisations. For example, the words around transforming, wider education sector, professional that employs hundreds of thousands of people as tutors. So it's really setting the scene about what the Tutoring Association is and how you do that. Okay. I'm using the Tutoring Association here as an example of professionalism, grounding, and please, I want you to notice the tone and how they've done that. So they've got clear values and clear responsibilities. So I noticed in the comments box that someone asked to encourage people to do that. So hopefully you saw in my previous banner that I actually encourage people to ring the bell on my previous banner. So the Tutoring Association don't do that at the moment, but it is good practice to do that, to encourage people to nudge to do that. Strong about sections should follow a simple flow. So they should give context, values, how you work, and reassure people again and give you professional grounding. So hopefully that gives you some sense of what we're looking for. So here's a bit of a checklist for you thinking about when you're building out your credibility and your profile essentials. So you might want to have a little photograph of this and have a look. But these are the key elements where everybody can think about. And I'm going to be moving on how to build out a newsletter shortly. But what we want to get focused on first is primarily about your headline, so your names, your roles and responsibilities, which will signal your values and context. And as we mentioned, is one of the most important areas because it's the first thing that people will see and show up when they connect with you. But this is a quick self checklist. So make sure that your banner communicates your values. Make sure your photo is clear, professional and human. I wouldn't recommend any dog shots in here, although they have been seen to sort of be appropriate sometimes, depends if you're a dog groomer. Your headline shows roles, responsibilities and values. Your about section, it clearly explains why your work matters and why it matters to other people. And your experiences and standards are visible. And as I mentioned, but will help you build momentum and trust over time. So I mentioned that there was going to be some activities. So I want you all to grab a piece of paper, and I'm going to give you a moment or two to think about, and we're going to break this down and build on this activity. But hopefully this will enable you to build out some thoughts about what your headline profile should be. So have a look at what you have already. If you haven't got one already, or you're not on LinkedIn already, then this is a good opportunity to think about what you really want to get across. So have a think about answering these questions and making sure that your headline is grounded in your values. So I want you to write down now, what do I care most about in my work? So just spend a couple of moments writing down what you care most about in what you do in your work. So just jot these down for yourself. Okay. And bear in mind, we will be having a recording, so you can come back to this activity if we move through this too quickly, because you might want to give this some time after today's session. So next question is, what do I want people to feel when they read my profile? Do they want to feel calm? Do they want to feel included? Do they want to feel safe? Do they want to feel secure? Do they want to feel that they can trust you? So these are all key points. That what do you want people to feel when they read your profile? So have a think about that. Write down some few thoughts for a moment. I'll just give you a moment to do that. Okay, and this is quite an interesting activity. You may already have thought about your values, and it's something that I work with on a daily basis to get people to really strip back and think about how their work and what they do really aligns with what their values are. So your values guide how you work day to day, and they also they guide how you work with your learners and your families. So I want you now to write down and think of perhaps 1, 2, or possibly 3 values that for you really feel important, that genuinely guide how you work. I've written some examples underneath here. So just have a moment and think about a few values that genuinely guide how you work. Okay, so hopefully you're getting a sense of your values, what's important to you, and why you want people to work with you and why they should work with you. So that's step 1. Moving on now to step 2. This is where you start thinking and getting really clear on your professional clarity. So write down what your role is. What do you actually do? And write that in plain professional language. So are you a tutor? Are you a director? Are you a founder? Are you a coach? Are you a supervisor? They're the kind of things that you should be thinking about. Write down what your role is. Hopefully that one hasn't taken you too long to do. And now I want you to get really clear on who do I work with. So, and that's about your audience. So who do you work with? Who are your typical clients that turn up and show up every single day? And that could be maths students, it could be primary, it could be parents, it could be adults. Who do you work with? Who are your clientele? Who are you trying to work with and support on a daily basis? And then finally, on professional clarity, what context? So this is things particularly for tutors and tutoring association, but this can be for wider businesses as well. What educational stage? What subjects? What needs? Is there any special inclusion needs that you provide? Do you work in alternative provision settings, for example? What are the contexts that you actually work in? So these are your professional clarity. So this will help with writing your headline down. So just jot those down for a moment as well. And this should really help you getting clear on who you are and who you want to be working with as well. Okay, moving on to step 3. So this is when you're going to start aligning your headline. So taking the 2 elements that you've already put together, try and actually write these into one sentence. Think about writing one sentence now to include step 1 and step 2. And then we're going to look at aligning this. And as you're writing it, I want you to think about the 3 questions that are written here. So would somebody searching your LinkedIn for your recognize themselves here? Would they recognize, if it was somebody else doing your job, would they recognize it was them? Does your headline contain clear role language, e.g. tutor, SEND specialist, tutoring organisation? So when your headline, when you look at that, does it contain that information? And back to good old humans, although we love AI, could a human understand what I do in one glance? So if they read it, would it be really clear on what you do? Because that's actually important. Hopefully you're able to answer these questions now. So we'll just move on to step 4. So let's think about actually drafting a values-led scroll-stopping headline. So using what you've reflected on, I want you to spend, and I'm going to give you about 4 minutes, a brief headline. It could be one you've already got and you're just tweaking, or it could be something that you're now redeveloping or throwing it up in the air. And when you're writing this, think about positioning it as what is your role, in what context, and what do you do? So that's the framework, the order, and how this should operate. So you include your role first, in what context, and what your focus is that explains how you work. So we'll just give you a few minutes to do that. And I'll just have a swig of coffee while we're doing this. And I'd invite you to put them in the chat. So if you feel able to share your headline with purpose in the chat, do you want to pop them in there for us? Founders and owners of Serena Tuition. Lower Key Stage 2, brilliant. Thank you, Serena. Founder at the Learning Vault Education Practice, brilliant. Thank you. Enable that. Love it. feel free to share them. Events Manager, Tutors Association. Thank you, Sam. Oh, thank you, Serena. I will ring yours back. So just give you a couple more moments to do that. And read it back to yourself. Does this sound like me? Does it feel calm and professional? And would I be comfortable if a parent, a school, or a peer read this? It's about the right people recognising your work. Yeah.
Hi, Georgie, sorry to interrupt. I can't get the messaging on to contribute.
Oh, okay, Wanda.
And I also I managed to find the poll based on somebody's saying the purple thing at the top, but usually I have messages, but I can't.
I'll do that. Okay.
Thanks.
That's okay, Sam. I don't know what the issue is there. Don't worry, Wanda. If you can't share, perhaps you can share it with me afterwards. And yeah, because we are getting a few through, so I'm not really sure.
So, Wanda, in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a padlock, 9 dots, and then a speech bubble. I don't know if that matches what you have on your screen. It doesn't. Okay. Maybe if it's possible, if you could just, would you be able to email me a screenshot and then I might be able to help you that way? Yeah, okay. Do you have, so my email is events@thetutorsassociation.org.uk. So it'll be the one that's been emailing you with the registration.
Okay, I'll do that. Thanks.
Okay, all right. So hopefully that activity has really helped you get clear on your headline. And it's now a headline with purpose. And also, it's a really good activity to do to reflect back on and use when you're out in your networking situation. So it's a quick way of you able to describe who you are, what you do, and in what context. So practice reading it out loud as well as a top tip for you. Okay, so we're now going to move on now to our second poll. So Sam, would you mind launching the second poll for us? And what most stops you using LinkedIn confidently? So we've got 5 options here. And every one of these answers is completely normal, I would say. But let's get some here. Excellent. Thanks. Great news, Wanda. You've got it sorted. Time and understanding. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. I can see from these responses, Sam, would you agree it's E or D that's coming up as the main answers?
I think E looks like a clear winner in the poll. Yeah. And then, hang on, so did I say E or D out loud? E.
Yes, E.
Yeah,
E.
perfect. And then in the comments, E, clear winner as well.
All right, thank you very much. And I'm not surprised because LinkedIn is a bit of a minefield. And as I mentioned, this is LinkedIn 1.0. So we could do lots and lots of other sessions on search engines and using the search bar and direct messaging and how we connect. But as we know, we've only got a short amount of time. So we want to make sure that we cover some of it today to go through with you. So we're now going to look at building professional credibility. And when you do this, you do not need to choose one or the other. So what we're going to do is look at the 4 C's around credibility when you're showing up online. So I call these the 4 C's because I've used C's for a reference. But it's a good way of remembering and reflecting on every time you post, are you answering these questions? So when people think about credibility online, they often think it comes from being visible, just showing up, posting often and saying the right thing and keeping up. And actually that's not the case. Credibility is made up of all of these 4 areas. So credibility comes from being steady, being consistent, but actually not being performative. So when I mean performative, it isn't about you have to be there every single day. And it isn't about you have to come up with something new on a daily basis as well. It's about posting, isn't about posting often, it's about making sure your message and your tone and your boundaries are building over time. So this will gradually happen as you start to consistently, and you can set yourself a little goal that you're going to show up at a certain point on a regular basis, and that could be once a week, could be once a fortnight, whatever you set yourself a goal for, but making sure that you're showing up in some format. And people trust what they see regularly and what they can understand, who you are, how you work, and the context, which we've already covered in your profile essentials. And it's also about knowing what not to share. So not being controversial, and also particularly in the world of education, it's about making sure that you maintain a level of professionalism. Now, it doesn't mean to say that you can't show your personal situations and be humorous, and actually often that's a really good way of getting engagement, but it's about making sure that you're really clear and you're professional around your boundaries, particularly when you're working with children. Just remember, and I'm sure this is obvious, but careful ethical judgment with what you engage with and how you engage. So how you respond, and sometimes it's okay to leave it alone and not actually engage with it as well. So keep in mind when you're actually building your credibility around the 4 C's. Now we're going to talk about communicating your expertise. So this is back to your professional contribution when you're actually making content. And thoughtful content is really quite often quiet but useful. So you want to make sure that any kind of content that you're sharing is insightful. It could be reflective. It could be something that you're clear on or you've witnessed and you want to share with other people. And it could be comment and contribution. So that's the type of content. Think of those 4 areas. Either it's an insight, it's a reflection of something experienced, it's something that you want clarity on, so you could have a question that you want other people to contribute on, or it's something that you comment and contribute yourself. So a simple way when you're thinking about building out content is to think about what are you noticing, and this could be what are you noticing in your working environment, what are you noticing when you're with your students, what does your experience tell you, and share that out with others. And actually, what might this clarify for other people as well? So you're not promoting yourself, you are contributing to professional thinking. And this is the kind of images and messaging that you want to be giving when you're going through that. Ways to do this and what you can safely contribute to are, so you can reflect on learning, so you can reflect on situations that have come up with students. You need to be mindful, however, on the professional boundaries and values around that, so you can communicate and contribute safely around what you believe the best professional boundaries are out there. You can share sector observations, so things that you've noticed that are happening. You can share sort of any legislation that comes out and your comments and your feelings about that. Or any great research or books that you're reading or commentary that you see or articles that come up on telly, for example. They are all things that you can share and talk about on a daily basis, things that trigger you, things that get you thinking and ask you questions, because that will also be interesting content for other people as well. You can also show professional presence through thoughtful comments on other posts, or asking questions on other posts, or professionally agreeing and supporting, or having a nuance on different people. And here's read the banner at the bottom. But did you know that every time you leave a thoughtful comment or repost something with a short professional reflection, LinkedIn actually recognises that for you as a meaningful contribution. So sometimes it may not even be that you need to push out or post your own content. Contributing or commenting on other people's posts is also recognised by LinkedIn as a meaningful contribution. So it may be something that you want to start out soon on doing first, reading what other people say and commenting on it, and leaving a thoughtful comment or reposting something with a short professional reflection. And that's often treated as a meaningful contribution. So that's a good kind of intel to tell you. So our final poll for the session, Sam, would you mind just sharing this? So what feels like a realistic next step for you?
Okay, it's shared. It should be the purple button at the top for the poll.
Brilliant. I can see, Sam, there's lots of, oh, someone's gone A, B, C and D. Excellent. I'm really pleased, Gareth. There's a lot of A's coming up though, Sam, is that correct? Awesome B's, engaging more thoughtfully, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a combination, yeah. Wonderful. Okay, we'll just move on. So the mystery of newsletters. I thought it was important for you to find out about newsletters. And I want to introduce this something gently, because it is actually a really great way of setting your line in the sand, starting to dabble with making thoughtful contributions. So I wanted to introduce newsletters gently, because for so many people, the word alone can actually feel a little bit like marketing or daunting. But on LinkedIn, a newsletter is simply a space for professional writing. It's a place where you can write your own reflections on ideas or thoughts or experiences that are coming up for you. It's a great way for you to trial and test it. And you can do that as a one-off article that you actually use when you are contributing, and you can also build it up over time. So you'll see here on my examples, I've created a newsletter called The Calm Clearing, and I actually on a monthly basis regularly publish and create a new edition, and I'm going to go on and show you quickly how to do your first newsletter shortly. But it's a slower, reflective space. It's also a way of professionally archiving your thinking. And again, it's reinforcing and helping you build trust over time, but also supporting your professional identity. So people will start to follow you further because they like your thinking. It aligns with what you are offering here. So you'll find your newsletters, if you go to activity, on your profile essentials, there'll be a section where you would normally press post, comments, videos or images, where newsletters will appear. And this is showing the newsletters that I've written previously, and below is a snapshot of my newsletter section as well. So you can see it's inviting me to create a new edition, but you can actually just publish one-off articles if you'd like to do so. So this is what a newsletter could include. So a newsletter could be a question that you are personally exploring. It could be a professional insight that you shared. It could be a value that you hold and why it's important to you. Or it could be something positioned for parents or colleagues or other tutors in your industry. people worry about what belongs in newsletters, but it doesn't need to be polished or long, and it definitely doesn't need to sell anything at all. So it might simply be something that you're questioning or exploring, or insights or values that you might be sharing. Even one thoughtful piece a month is enough for you to use, and that alone tells people that you are taking time to think about your work, and it's positioning you as a thought leader in that situation. And so I quickly, and I'm conscious of time, but I would get you to take a photo of this. But as I mentioned, it will be on YouTube and you will be able to go back to that later. You won't be able to do this on your telephones. This is creating a newsletter is a desktop function. So on your desktop, step 1 is to click and write the article. Step 2 will then give you options to either write an article or create a newsletter. You can upload an image, and then below it's really quite straightforward how you write your newsletter. Then when you click on manage, you can create this as a newsletter or you can create that as an article. So have a go at trying this. I hope that you can work your way through that. And another key tip is actually, once you've published your article, you can go back in there and you can right click it and pin it to your featured. And it will make sure that that always appears on your professional profile. And you can add each article as a new featured edition if you'd like to do that. So key takeaways, hopefully, from today's session is what to remember is that credibility is about being clear, and over time, it's not about rush, it's not about marketing, it's about building trust and professionalism. So you don't need to self-promote yourself, although there is space and opportunity to do that. It's about regularly showing up, perhaps commenting on other people, but also making sure that you are showing yourself and representing yourself as a thoughtful presence. And that can just be enough if that's all you feel that you can manage at the moment. So if you take nothing else away from take this, credibility is coming from clarity. Okay, so I just thought I'd share those with you. Ooh, just flip through my slide. And I also want to finish by gently highlighting something that sits alongside everything we've talked about today, because ultimately LinkedIn is a connection platform. It's a way for us to communicate and connect. And being a board member, I want to also highlight to you the wonderful opportunities that the Tutoring Association offer. So they are a plethora of regional events for you to turn up to and meet and connect with other people face to face. And also online, there are 2 great spaces. So we've got special interest groups that have been set up, and also the community hub where people sit and talk. So LinkedIn is about thoughtful professional presence, and these are the tutoring events that are also available, and they are offline and online available for you. And I'm also going to share one little nugget for you, because also, did you know that LinkedIn is also a really positive tool for you to use when you're actually out face to face as well? So here is a little nugget for you as well. On your telephone, when you go face to face in a networking event, what you can do is have your LinkedIn profile open, tap the search bar at the top, and you'll notice that there's a little QR code button here. Tap the QR symbol, and then your LinkedIn profile will create a QR code for you that the person that you're networking with will enable you to QR code as well. So when you meet someone face to face at a TTA event or a training day or a conversation like this, using LinkedIn's QR code helps make sure connections are accurate and appropriate, and also helped you build out your network as well. So thank you so much for listening. I would like to say you do not need to choose one or the other. Instead, choose your personal profile to share insights and learning and values. and use your business page to clearly show services and focus and professionalism. So let them both reinforce and work in tandem with each other. This is especially effective, particularly if you're referencing your organisation. So keep your messaging aligned across both, and remember, everything is built on trust and consistency. So hopefully that's been helpful for you. Sam, have we got any questions in the chat box now?
Quick question, George, if you can, before I disappear. I've got another session at 11 o'clock.
Yes.
Sorry that was slightly late. Is there any disadvantage if you have two ventures that you want to promote and you're using LinkedIn via two separate email addresses? Obviously, I don't want to give the impression that to anybody reading my profile that I have more than one thing on the go and wearing more than one hat. So using separate email addresses, would that create any disadvantage that I can't think of?
Not at all. Not at all. No, if you're very clear about that you do the two things, that and being transparent about that, absolutely not a problem at all. Yeah, no disadvantage there.
So I'm not being dishonest, but I'm not intending to be transparent. I'd have one profile linked to one email address and another profile linked to another email address, and there's no way that unless somebody did something.
That's absolutely fine. That's okay. Yeah, no problem at all. You're good.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
We also had a question from Juliet, who said, is there a way you can post automatically from your personal profile to your business profile? This used to happen when you posted, but has now stopped about 4 months ago.
Unfortunately, no, there isn't. So the only way that you can make sure that it shows up in your business profile is by tagging yourself in and then commenting back. That's where there's a whole sort of situation on scheduling tools, etc., where you can have a scheduling tool that will allow you to post on both, but that we could open that up and do a whole session on scheduling tools for social media. Unfortunately, there isn't any way of doing that at the moment. It is actually a function that they've removed, but I would be definitely championing for that to come back because it's a really, really helpful tool. It's a great question though. And Juliet has also said, which paid version do you recommend? I'm not sure which app, but what's that for? A scheduling platform? For the scheduling platform.
For LinkedIn.
Oh, LinkedIn. Okay, so at the moment, I'm just using my premium tool. The others, if you look at it, I would say the £39.99 for using it for premium is all that you really need to market. I know they use the others, and it's packaged up as being really, really helpful. But from my experience, unless you're using it for recruitment, I don't think that's necessary. That's my experience anyway.
Wanda has asked, how do you add a second profile section to your portfolio to show two strands, e.g. tutor and supply teacher?
Okay, so I would be really clear on your profile. So you can have, you've only got 220 characters, I believe, in your profile, but I would actually be really clear on sectioning that off. There's the, on your keyboard, I think it's next to your shift button, you can do the straight line marker, and that would actually enable you to or say, I do this and I do that. Just be careful that you don't merge it too much or your messaging is too confusing. So just try and get a bit clearer on actually what it is you offer that aligns with both of those.
And I think also in terms of the order for that one, think about who might be finding you on LinkedIn and which one you might put first. So for example, even if tutoring is the number one thing that you want to do now, but you find a lot of supply teaching jobs, for example, on LinkedIn, then you still probably want to put supply teaching first if that's a revenue stream you want to continue, because that's what they're probably going to read first as well.
Yeah.
Claire, yes, I will be releasing the recording as soon after this session. So it will either be later this afternoon or tomorrow. And then I will also be emailing everybody who watched the full session with the link to get your certificate as well. And then Melanie's got a question. So she said, I'm at the very beginning of my tutoring journey. I'm putting things in place at present. How do I do this in LinkedIn without actually not ready due to health?
I would say you probably, if I'm honest, it's probably something you can prepare it on a Word document. So actually start sectioning out the sections that you see on the LinkedIn profile and prepare it. I wouldn't actually go, you can't have something in draft on your profile position at the moment. So I would actually just pre-prepare it and be ready to go when you're ready to go. Hopefully that answers
Thank you for
your question.
that. Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Lucy has also asked, if two businesses, are you saying one LinkedIn profile, if two businesses or two profiles?
I would recommend to actually have two separate profiles, purely because it stops that transference and mixed messaging. You want to be able to make sure that when you are searched for, that you clearly come up. So I would recommend having two separate business profiles if you can.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well, because I think even somebody who's just found you, if they're looking back through your post that you've done recently, you want them to really easily identify with what you're doing, rather than kind of like, okay, you're a tutor here, but in your spare time, you're saving animals or something, and yeah, keep it simple. And then Wanda, do you need to upload your training and certification on LinkedIn, or is the verified badge okay? There's a section for licenses and certifications.
Yeah, there is. So at the bottom, we didn't actually go through the whole, because the profile, as I mentioned, we could go through this significant amount. But at the bottom, there is actually an area where you can upload your previous experience and also your qualifications as well. And there's volunteer work. I've certainly put about my role as a tutoring board. They all show and represent your professional integrity and your thought leadership recognition. So anything that you do as a volunteer, make sure that you include that. And you can actually, when you work through your profile, include those as a section as well.
Amazing. Okay, we've run over slightly, so I think we will wrap up for today. Thank you all so much for joining us for today's CPD Live. I think we can all safely say there's probably been enough demand that we would love to ask you, Georgie, to do LinkedIn Point 2.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for such a really useful session. The recording for everybody who's been here today, I will email the recording either later today or tomorrow morning, along with the link to download your CPD certificate if you attended live. So for those of you who are watching the recording, if you do sign up to watch live, you can then get a CPD certificate for it as well. And yeah, thank you everybody for being here today. So just make sure that you check what's coming up in the next couple of weeks. At the moment, I'm scheduling a CPD Live for every other week, but we are having quite a lot of demand and a lot of you turning up. So I may need to revise how frequently we're doing them, just so that we can cover more topics as well. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming, and thank you, Georgie, for sharing everything today.
Thank you.
Wonderful. See you soon. Take care, everybody.
Bye.